Okay, let's just jump right in. We're diving into a biological cold case today, and there's a really good chance it's literally happening to you right now. In this explainer, we're going to explore one of the most everyday yet totally mysterious human behaviors out there, yawning. For centuries, scientists have been trying to learn exactly why we do this, and what they've uncovered is going to completely change how you view this everyday little reflex. So, I've just got to ask, are you yawning yet? Because the really wild thing about this whole phenomenon is that just by actively participating in this explainer, or honestly, just by hearing me say the word yawn, you might be feeling this overwhelming, totally involuntary urge to do it. You know that feeling, right? When someone next to you yawns and 2 seconds later, you're doing the exact same thing? Well, that makes you an active participant in today's scientific mystery. So are we really just tired, or is there a much bigger lesson to be learned about what's actually happening inside our brains? Well, before we start interrogating our suspects and diving into the big theories, any good scientific investigation means we first have to look at the physical evidence of what a yawn actually is. A yawn isn't just opening your mouth. It's this incredibly coordinated whole body event. First, you take a massive, deep breath in. Your mouth opens super wide, your jaw stretches way down, and your lungs just completely fill up with air. Sometimes your eyes might even water a bit, right? And then you slowly breathe out. The whole thing is this highly structured sequence that usually takes about 5 to 10 seconds from start to finish. Now, what's absolutely wild to me is that this reflex, it is not unique to humans. Not at all. It evolved millions of years before humans even existed. Scientists have observed this exact same behavior in dogs, cats, chimpanzees, birds, lions, snakes, and, no joke, even fish. And seeing this shared biological trait leaves researchers scratching their heads, asking, why would so many vastly different creatures learn to do exactly the same thing? To figure that out, let's bring in our very first suspect, tiredness. I mean, we've all been taught the lesson that yawning just means you're sleepy. And sure, we do yawn a lot before bed or right when we wake up, but we really have to ask, is our body actually just begging for sleep? Think about people who yawn when they aren't sleepy at all. We see elite athletes stretching and yawning right before a massive competition. Skydivers, literally yawning before they jump out of a perfectly good airplane. Students, yawning right before a high-stakes exam, and musicians doing it right before they step out on stage. These folks are in extremely high-stress, high-adrenaline situations. They are 100% wide awake. So the real takeaway here is that yawning isn't just about sleep, it actually acts as a biological transition. It kicks in when your brain is shifting from one state of alertness to another. You can kind of think of it like your body shifting gears in a manual car. Whether you're waking up, fighting off intense boredom in a waiting room, or prepping your nervous system to handle something incredibly stressful. But if yawning prepares our brains for a shift in alertness, how exactly does it do that physically? Well, this brings us to a super compelling piece of modern evidence in our biological detective story, the brain cooling theory. Think about it. Your brain works incredibly hard all day long. When you're learning, thinking, remembering things, or solving problems in class, you're generating energy. And just like a laptop running hot when it's processing a ton of data, your brain physically produces heat. The brain cooling theory suggests that a yawn is basically your body's built-in cooling fan. When you take that massive, deep breath in, cooler air rushes into your mouth and nose. That actually increases the blood flow around your head and actively lowers your brain's temperature just a little bit. It's really interesting to compare these two states. On one hand, you have this mentally exhausted, heated brain that's feeling super sluggish. On the other, a cooler, highly efficient brain. Pulling in that cool air theoretically helps transition your mind from a state of mental fatigue right back to peak efficiency. And while researchers are still actively testing this, a lot of experiments back it up, and it perfectly explains why learning complex topics for hours on end can make us yawn. Okay, but brain cooling definitely does not explain the most bizarre clue of all. Catching a yawn from the person sitting right next to you. Why on earth does seeing someone else yawn immediately trigger the exact same reflex in you? Well, the answer actually lies in psychology and neurology. Contagious yawning is deeply tied to empathy, which is our ability to understand and share the feelings of someone else. It all comes down to these special brain cells called mirror neurons. These are the exact same neurons that make you involuntarily smile when someone smiles at you, or laugh when your friend starts cracking up. They literally help you form a social and physical connection with another person. And this empathy connection gives us some incredible insights into human development and how we learn social behaviors. Contagious yawning isn't just some random quirk. It heavily depends on how our developing brains learn to understand and bond with others. For instance, children under 4 who are still actively learning those empathetic social skills rarely catch yawns. People with certain neurological conditions process contagious yawning differently too, and amazingly, even dogs can catch yawns from humans. But it happens way more often when they have a close, bonded relationship with their owner.
Now, as we uncover new evidence in science, we also have to throw out the old myths. For decades, there was this primary suspect taught in science classrooms all over the world that we absolutely need to clear from the record: the oxygen theory.
The old school lesson was super simple. You get tired, your oxygen levels drop, so your body forces a big, deep breath to get more oxygen. Makes total sense, right? Well, scientists put this famous oxygen deficiency theory to the test with a brilliant experiment. They had one group of volunteers breathe extra oxygen, and another group breathe air pumped with extra carbon dioxide. And the result? Surprisingly, neither group yawned any more often than the other.
The results were completely definitive. Oxygen levels just don't seem to be the main reason we yawn. And honestly, this is a perfect example of how the scientific method works and why continuous learning is so important. We observe something, we test it, we realize the data doesn't match up, and we unlearn an old myth to make room for actual, accurate discoveries about temperature regulation and alertness. Most scientists today have completely abandoned the oxygen theory. So, where exactly does this leave our investigation? Well, we've confidently ruled out a lack of oxygen, and we've learned some amazing things about brain cooling and empathetic mirror neurons. But the full story? It actually remains delightfully incomplete. Despite all of this incredible science we've just learned, the average person still does this between 5 and 20 times every single day, usually without even noticing it. This simple little reflex is such a dynamic part of our biology. I mean, ultrasound scans have even shown fetuses yawning while still developing inside the womb. It's a reflex triggered by boredom, sleepiness, intense stress, or massive excitement. And as we proved at the beginning of this explainer, it's caused by simply reading, thinking, or talking about it. Seriously, if you've made it this far into the explainer without yawning at least once, congratulations, because you are absolutely in the minority. Education and science aren't just about reading a textbook and calling it a day. They are a live, ongoing investigation. Yawning is literally one of the simplest things we do as humans, and yet it's still one of the biggest mysteries in biology. Every great scientific discovery begins by actively questioning the mundane things we do every single day. So I'll leave you with this. The next time someone beside you yawns and you suddenly feel the urge to yawn too, what everyday mystery will you wonder about next?